Happy Sunday. If any of you are watching right now, I'm totally shocked because if you're anything like me, and I hope you are, I've been in bed all day, binge watching The Crown seasons 3 and 4, trying to get ready for the big interview tonight with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, which, you know what? It's my Tiger King. I'll take it. This time last year, what I was watching was way trashier, so I do not feel guilty about this at all, y'all. Not even a little bit. So since we have very few questions this week, we got a lot of wins, very cool ones. People, win number one is still having hair, and I think it's really fantastic. So I'm here with all my big hair energy to talk a little bit about what we're seeing and hearing right now, what I'm seeing and hearing right now, and hopefully, as always, I hope that nothing that I say resonates with you or applies to you. But if it does, what I want to do is give you a little perspective. You know what? I haven't watched that yet because I wanted a little more time before I get into Bridgerton because we were finishing up something else and I didn't want to start something that I couldn't sit down and knock all the way out. So we also wanted to go back and watch another season of Downton Abbey before we started Bridgerton too. It's a whole thing. My husband and I have realized that we actually have more in common than we thought when it comes to things that we like. When you're traveling for work for 9 years of our marriage, which our 10-year anniversary is on Wednesday or Thursday, I forget. And I've always said, if you've been with me for a while, that we are two people with completely polar opposite tastes it's more like a Venn diagram. There's just two concentric circles that don't touch. And once a year, we'll find something that we want to consume together and have a good time with it. We have found a whole lot of stuff this year, y'all. I don't know if it's just proximity or our standards are lowering. I don't really care. We're in a good place and we're watching a whole lot of TV. So Bridgerton is on the list, but we got two more things we got to get through before we get to Bridgerton. And I hear it's great and I can't wait to see it. But I'm more excited to see this interview tonight with Harry and Meghan. So the things that I've been seeing and hearing that I wanted to talk about, the first thing that caught my attention this weekend was a big Facebook post from a very good friend of mine who, without really telling anyone, went down to the Woodlands to participate in the marathon and was absolutely thrilled. It was his first time racing in a large group in a long time. And he was nervous to tell anyone about this, but it was for him a really big deal. And I tried to let that be what it is without judgment because he's really fast. He wouldn't have been near anybody the whole time. And he drove all the way down. And since I drove to Texas last weekend, I feel like I didn't have the right to say anything about that. What I wanted to say, and seeing that the Louisiana Marathon also happened this weekend, I stand by what I have been saying consistently, and that is big events, really big races like the New York City Marathon, the Chicago Marathon, the events that people sign up, with the lotteries that people sign up for, thinking if I get in, then I'll train, and treating it like a really cool option that they all of a sudden start putting pressure on as they get closer. Well, I want to do well, even though I haven't been training or haven't really been training before I win the lottery. It just turns into something else once you're there. And without that, a lot of people have had a hard time finding motivation. Conversely, a whole lot of people can't get motivated to do anything at all. And we've been taught, above all else, or at least since we were very little, I can tell you exactly the moment I realized that my societal worth was directly tied to my weight. And that was when they told my dad that he was too fat to survive surgery and sent him home from the hospital with a heart attack. It's hard to believe that ever happened, but that was normal in 1983. So that led to a life of thinking that I was doing healthy things that in hindsight might not have been. When we talk about diet culture, what we're talking about, or if you or your parents put you on the Slim Fast diet when you were younger, if your mom was on the Slim Fast diet, if you ate off of salad plates instead of proper sized plates in your home, these are all things that we were taught were healthy decisions or good decisions because they came from magazines or Oprah or Dr. Phil or whatever media happened to be available to you where you are. Part of the reason, if you subscribe to my Nuzzle newsletter, which is really the only newsletter I have at the moment, part of the reason I talk about diet culture so much is because there's so much about it that is ugly, but we don't think of it as ugly, right? Because we think weight is something that we control, calories in, calories out. It's almost treated like a moral failure to be fat. And it's because it's something you could fix. Why wouldn't you fix it? Kind of like my gray. Why wouldn't you cover up that gray? Okay. I'm like, because I love it. Because I freaking love it. And I don't have time to maintain hair coloring before the pandemic started, let alone now. That's not changing anytime soon. So I tell you all of that to tell you this: when it comes to dieting and trying to lose weight, most of us have shit instincts, really bad instincts. The things that we think of first, well, I need to do these three things in order to lose weight. Those three things might lead to temporary weight reduction, but they're not sustainable in the long term. They're probably not healthy. And anything that impacts your health in a negative fashion isn't worth it, especially if you're trying to reduce the number on a scale. Like I've said before about my marathon finish times, those times don't define me. The year that I ran a 4:24, which for me was the slowest marathon I'd ever run, what you wouldn't know is that was my first race back after just having had a baby 6 months prior, my first baby. If you were to take a look at any of the times that I ran, in isolation, that it's a singular data point that doesn't tell you anything about me or the journey that led to that number, or where that number really belongs in the context of my racing canon. It's just a number. And now as my inbox is flooded with quarantine, because I think in the UK, if you're watching this and you're in the UK, you have to correct me. I think the quarantine ends on June the 19th, because I'm seeing a lot, or maybe it's Australia, but it's definitely not from an American publication, but there's some quarantine is ending on June 19th. And so there have been an influx of articles and emails and advertisements trying to convince me to lose my quarantine 20 before June 19th. And I just find that horrific. I find it, I've got so much to say about that that's negative. I unsubscribed from all those emails, number one. These are things that I've been subscribed to for a while because I want to know what trends, what other coaches are talking about. I want to know what other run clubs are thinking about. I want to know what's going on globally. And this is part of the reason why I created this safe space, to be free from all that bullshit, because I'm never going to talk about the quarantine 20, quarantine 50. And by the way, when did it become the quarantine 20? And I get it, weight is a sensitive thing. I went to the doctor this week for my yearly physical. And when I stepped on the scale, it was the biggest number I've seen when I've not been pregnant, ever. And it was a little shocking. I knew I gained some weight, but not quite that much. And again, without going directly into numbers, it's 20% higher than where I normally am, which is still 10% higher than where I was, what I consider my normal to be before. So if you really want to do some math, you can probably figure out in a decent range how much I've gained, but it's a shocking number again to me. So the last time I gained this much weight, I was taking a drug that piled it on, crushed my hips, and caused a lot of problems with my fourth pregnancy. So that I'm human. I'm just like y'all. And except I come with a little bit more trauma directly related to doctor's visits, health, and weight that I wouldn't wish on anyone. So first thing I did when I got home was cry, to be honest with you. Like, how did this happen? And then sat back and thought about it. What does that number say? What does that number tell me? I look in the mirror and I think to myself, I know and have known for a while that I've been getting weaker during the quarantine. I'm just not doing all of the strength that I was doing. There was a point, and I've been honest about that, where I was ashamed to try to do some of the strength demonstrations because I didn't have the strength to perform them well or perform them without huffing and puffing. And I wanted to get back to a better place. Part of that journey has been the Peloton, which was my husband's idea, and I jumped all over it when it happened. And for us, it's been really effective. It's been great to have an option to work out indoors, either on bad weather days, on days when the air is really bad because we've got the wildfire season starting in Colorado right now, or when the unhoused there are so many of them around the neighborhood. I don't want to go out at night, or I just don't feel like going out at night. I would rather do something in the comfort of my home. My home is not large enough to house a treadmill. So what I've been doing on the Peloton, if you follow me on Strava, I've been working out between 2 and 3 hours a day pretty consistently now for the past month. which is a surprise even to me because I don't think about it. Normally, if I was having this conversation with someone, that is a huge jump. But what also has jumped is my strength. And it's a really cool thing. I don't quite feel like I did when I was in my 20s, but this is what I did when I was in my 20s, when I was young, when I was at the fittest I'd ever been, when I ran my fastest marathon time. I was doing a lot of yoga at night, and I was spinning several times a week because I had access to all that. And these are things that I've not had access to in the longest time. So the fun thing about cycling is that if you, again, monitor your heart rate, you can monitor your TRIMP, which is it's something that I don't talk about a whole lot, and why should I have to? It's complicated. It's something else to think about when you're looking at training peaks. But the TRIMP score is a number that I manually calculate for each of my elite, back when I coached elite runners, to make sure they weren't overdue. Score rise over time lets me know how hard I'm pushing them and when to pull back. It's especially useful if you're a triathlete, because every activity produces a different amount of cardiovascular strain and a different amount of muscular strain. So you're always taking a look at 3 or 4 different metrics, but TRIMP is the most important because that's the cardiovascular strain. Anyway, if you have a Polar Advantage V, that's measured for you very nicely. You don't have to do any hand calculations, which is why I got one, and I like it a lot. It's pretty accurate. So I tell you that to be like, I've been able to sneak in all this additional cardio with no risk of really overtraining. I just have to then say to myself, why am I getting on this bike? It's because I want to. Frankly, it's been because I'm bored. I've got a free hour. I'm trying to work through something in my head, something creative. I'm just going to hop on the bike. Especially if I can't just go for a run. And I've not been able to do that with Violet home for the past 3 weeks due to 2 COVID cases in her class. She goes back on Tuesday, and the other kids do too. So what I want to underscore to you is several things, making sure they feel connected. Number one, that number on the scale, if it's risen, that doesn't tell me anything about you, about what you've dealt with this year. And it's not a failure. It's so stupid in society that we have come to this point where we're like, what is something you can control? And if you don't control it, then you're lazy and you're out of control. That's just dumb. It is really dumb. Whatever you've been doing, it was probably the right choice. And it was probably the best option available to you. And in the context of other choices. Number 2, it can be really hard to get started again when you've been out of the loop for a while. And I say this as someone who had never needed a reminder to do strength each day, who never needed a reminder to get a run done, and who has never, and for most of her life, had no trouble getting out of bed long before the sun came up. There was a really good article this week. I'm going to drop the link here in the comments for you. I'm iffy. I don't love everything that she writes, but I do, when she gets it right, she really gets it right. And this is Lindsay Krause's article today in the New York Times. So she talks about, remember, if you follow her journey, she broke 3 hours in the marathon and was the strongest she'd ever been. And then when the pandemic hit, she just stopped running. And at some point for her, self-care turned into self-indulgence, and she had a really hard time getting started again. So she reached out to Brad Stulberg, and that provided the basis for this article. I can't tell if that link went through into the Facebook groups. If not, let me know, and I'll come back and put it back in later. So I'm not saying I don't like that term self-indulgent, but at some point when it's hard to get started again, you just have to do it in order to get that feel-good cycle going again. So if running is something that you haven't been doing, I want you to cut yourself some slack. It is really hard to get restarted. Strength made me feel horrible. It made me feel terrible. It made me feel weak. And it hurt. Most of all, it made me gain a whole lot of weight, because if you've ever remembered the last time you were not at high fitness and then got started again, you probably had swelling fingers. You were probably sweating a lot. You probably put on 10 to 15 pounds because that's normal. That is absolutely normal when you're going through the metabolic change that comes from building muscle. It weighs more than fat, and your body will expand and then contract. And a big part of that expansion is water retention, because your muscles need it as your body adapts to its new normal of needing more fluid than it needed before. And 2, inflammation. Inflammation is how muscles repair themselves. So it's a good thing when that's happening. It's just a horrifying thing if you're not thinking about that and only looking at the number on the scale without context. So whatever you read, you've been as a data scientist, as a person who used to do this, who loves numbers and hates the way most people analyze them. I'm just going to beg you, don't judge yourself by that one data point. Put it in context. And if you decide to make changes on the back of that, I'm not going to say to you, don't do what I do. Don't jump in doing 2.5 hours a day. I have it available to me. And again, take a look at my heart rate. I'm spending almost all of it, except for a few minutes when I get carried away in my run and I have to slow it back down and I walk. I'm walking more in my runs than I ever have. On a day, I went out one day and I ended up walking 8 miles. I was supposed to meet a friend who showed up late. And I got a good hour of walking in on top of the hour and a half of walking that we ended up doing together. But I had the time and the leisure for that. I did not set out with the express intent of walking off what I had eaten, of walking off my inflammation, of trying to counter. It wasn't a fraction that I was trying to, I wasn't doing third grade math with my weight. And as long as that's not what you're doing and you're honest with yourself about it, you've got my permission to do whatever you want to do. I'm not going to judge you for driving to a state that just got rid of its mask requirements. And having been to that state last weekend, I can say most people were wearing masks anyway. I'm not going to judge you for showing up and saying, you know what, I just needed to race and I did this and I feel good and I want to share this moment of feel good. Other people might. I'm not going to. I want you to get whatever you need in a way that does not cause harm to you. I don't want you to waste valuable years of your life worried about something that has no meaning, or worried about the ghost of bullies past who still live in all our heads, telling us that there's something wrong with us and that we might be failing. And here is a number that proves it. That number doesn't prove shit. The fact that you're here engaging with this does. And here's the final note. The thing that I care about, what I wanted with fitness protection, is in any other year when you would have thrown your hat and your name in the hat for the lottery for a marathon and you win a slot, which means now you have to train. If you get sick, if you get hurt, if life gets in the way, you fall behind and you can't catch back up. And those 2 weeks off make a big difference in the grand scheme of things, because a whole lot of people were not running very consistently. They put their name in the marathon hat in order to force themselves to run more consistently. Thus, the outcome, those 2 weeks off because of sickness or life being in the way, it's not about you failing. It's about it is what it is. But no, we can't make those 2 weeks up. It doesn't work that way. What I wanted to give you was a better way. A month, instead of a tightrope that you could fall off, or a plan that would be worthless 3 weeks into it if something went wrong, you get a reset button at the beginning of each month. Granted, the videos might not always be ready on time and I live stream them, but you get that reset button. You get a chance to jump back in. And in those months when I'm behind too, you get to jump back in with me. And you get to watch me struggle in my bigger body. And you get to hear me talk about, you know what? I have trouble running in the winter because my winter running clothes don't fit. And part of the reason I didn't run that as much as I wanted to this winter was exactly that. I didn't want to spend any more money on clothes, especially expensive winter running clothes. And as soon as I tried to put on stuff, I felt so bad about myself. I didn't want to walk out the door. That is normal. My husband feels the same way. So we got this great tool where we can work out inside and not worry about it. And we just feel good. It's never going to replace running to me. It will nothing is ever going to, but this is a really nice option and a great way to slide in a little more work, or a way to be active when I'd otherwise be sitting on a couch in quarantine. And if you've been around me for any period of time, ADHD, I don't like sitting still. I'm not real good at it. I'm even worse at cleaning. So if the option is between sitting or cleaning, guess what? I'm going to sit. I got a little too comfortable sitting this year. And now I've got a way to get up and do something. All I ask about is that whatever is motivating you to do that thing, whether it's running or whether it's not, rather than trying to judge it and shame yourself, I want you to give yourself the slack of context and understanding. Those are not excuses. They are reasons. I didn't run today because my winter running clothes don't fit. And I'll just wait. It's supposed to be 30 degrees warmer tomorrow, 20 degrees warmer tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll run at noon and it won't be that bad. Tomorrow, wherever you are, let's operate on the assumption that every decision you've ever made was the right one. It was the best one. And I am proud of you for making it this far through the pandemic. And the only thing that you can complain about is you've gained a little more weight than you would have liked to. To me, that's winning at life. It really is. And I say that again, not you be grateful for what you have because that's shamey and stupid, but rather that's cool. That is anything but failing. If that's what we think failure is, I'm failing too. I'm right there with you, and I could care less because this big, heavy, inflamed body right now is stronger than it's been in a very long time, and I'm starting to feel good about things again. If you're not there yet, if you look kind of like that meme I posted on my Facebook page last week, and you're still like Natalie Portman in Black Swan, and you're still processing last March as we come into this March, please do so with the lens of you're doing great, because really and truly, you are. Thank you for being here. Thank you for spending another month with me. Now, let's get through some weekly wins, because we had some really fast people out there this month. Dan Felton hit some times that I'm probably not ever going to hit again, and I'm okay with that too. But beyond that, we got some wins to celebrate. We've got a question or two. And then I'm going to get on the couch again with my kids and get ready to watch Meghan Markle talk about how it's not as great being a princess as we were all told it would be when we were little girls. Yay! In Rebuild, Christian Fraser says, it's sheep shearing day at my parents' farm today. Things you don't hear very often. That's delightful. Good find, Sarah Seberg, by the way. It's sheep shearing day at Christian Fraser's parents' farm, so no running for her. This is Faith, who is daughter of Chance, who is a miracle lamb. Faith thinks she's a big puppy dog, and she shared the sweetest picture in the Facebook group. Oh my gosh. I think we might need to share that photo on social media, Nakia, because that might be the best reason not to run ever. And I wish I could look for that photo right now without ruining the live stream. That sounds super amazing. Amanda Blockinger Bailey ran MK's favorite today in the sunshine on tired legs. Slow burn strength this week is no joke. It is no joke. That is just hard. It is really hard. I was so sore from the cumulative work of demonstrating all the strength. By the time Thursday came around, I was like, I can't move. But felt like somebody had filled 2 saddlebags with rocks and then surgically attached them to my ass. That was where I was at. I was like, I'm really sorry, guys. I have Theragunned, I have foam rolled, and I am dead. I've since then quadrupled my protein intake, and that's helped a lot. But oh my God, I was tired. So if you're in slow burn and you hear me now, it's time to up the protein if you haven't done that yet, because Jesus Christ, the strength's hard. Woo. Another one from Christian. I just got my first dose of the COVID vaccine. Yay! It's doing its job, and I'm not feeling quite right. So I'm going to have a take it easy sort of day. Stretching sounds good. Maybe I'll do yoga. Maybe not. You know, if we listen to our bodies when they whisper, then we won't have to manage them when they scream. So if you had the COVID shot, go with that. Congratulations on getting it. And we hope you feel better soon. Either way, don't worry about it. Your body, when it's in a stressed out state and it's already inflamed because of a vaccine, that it's not going to produce additional inflammation to offset the muscle repair, because its priority is going to be healing you. So that's why I say, when you're already sick, when you're already hurt, when you're already hurting, you know, trying to force a workout, it might, if it makes you feel a little bit better, cool, but you're not necessarily falling behind, because your body's just not going to respond to that workout the way that it would under normal circumstances. That's not you being lazy, that's you resting. Runners don't know how to do that, and that's okay. Catherine Cummins, haven't done my walk yet, but I did do a quick 22-minute strength cardio this morning, so I've been at least a little bit active. Hell yeah, that's huge. Can I tell? I mean, if you go back again and look through my Strava, there were so many days where I wasn't active at all, either because I didn't have clothes that fit, or the weather was not. It wasn't even like ideal. It was just bad. It was. I don't really want to run in that. That is miserable. It is sleet. I don't do sleet. Sleet is the worst. Oh my gosh. Twice in today's race, Tammy said, "Dad." And you listened, backed off, recovered, carry on. I'm proud of you. That is huge, because when the hamstrings speak, we have to listen. They're little bitty muscles, and when they're saying anything, we don't get to ignore them, because they will stop you. And by the way, running 6:43s, huge. Congratulations, Dan. And a trail race too. That's insane. Congratulations on multiple levels. That's just really, truly amazing and mind-blowing to me. Christine Lancaster says that a run walk for her this morning was in the cards. She introduced some strength after a few days off, with lots of focus on relaxing her jaw and shoulders. It is really, we all, especially women, most of us carry tension in our shoulders and in our necks and in our jaw. So it can be really hard to not just notice when you're clenching, but break that habit too. That's something I've been working on for years. Congratulations on doing some of the hardest work there is, Christine. I really hope it's paying off. In maintaining, Karina Halteri ran today, and it was awesome. Good. She got lots of sleep and naps, and she's feeling good. She's excited that her stepmother of the groom dress arrived, and it fits. This weekend, she's going to go to the mall and find some heels for it. Again, she posted a photo, and it's gorgeous. All right, we need these photos. We need to put them on social. Congratulations for all of the things, Karina. That is really awesome. Let us know when the wedding is and how we can support. Sounds fun. Amy Wilson ran on the treadmill. She's having some crazy weather up in northern New Hampshire. It was 39 and raining, and then windy at night with temperatures dropping to the single digits. So the whole world is going to become a skating rink overnight. She is thankful for her treadmill, and she did slow burn in her new PJs. I'm obsessed with PJs. I need to see the PJs, or at least like a short video of you doing a TikTok. Show me a TikTok of you doing strength in your jammies. That sounds fun. Phyllis Kant took today off. She needed extra rest and even took a nap. That is huge, man. That's huge. I don't nap. I wish I could. It's just like, I can't. I've always wanted to become a napper, and I just don't have it in me. But I can go to bed early. I can go to bed at 7 o'clock and stay there. That is my superpower. Dan Felton ran. It was 67 degrees, 67. And he got to do my favorite run. It was going in and intentionally getting lost. Where he normally turns left, he turned right and discovered a whole new world. Congratulations, Dan. Nakia had an amazing Blah run. She ran like the winded, but she ran like the wind and felt kind of winded, but she also felt so strong. That's amazing. That's a really good feeling. I'm glad you had that, Nakia. Melissa Stewart is shaking things up by running 2x2s and adding more strength sessions. So that is what she did. She said cruise control on for runs for quite a while, so it was time to do something different. So what I tried to do this month, because it's March and because so many of us want to plan, but have, this might be the only continuity that you have, I wanted to give y'all permission to just find your favorite workout and then come in and tell us what it was. So this is fun to read what everyone's favorite workout is and what they choose on Monday versus Wednesday and how that changes week to week. What did you feel like today? It's really cool and really fun. I love this. Emily Sorensen went out at lunch in capris and her FBP t-shirt in Wisconsin, no less, for a short stride sandwich. She had to chuckle because she started off down the street thinking about how nice it was. She noticed her neighbor was out walking his dog in a winter coat and hat. Then she did strength while listening in on a conference call. And she was excited because she scheduled her first dose of the COVID vaccine for Saturday morning, which would have been yesterday. Yay! It's going to be a date with her husband, and he doesn't know it yet, but he's going to have to take her out for breakfast as a reward for getting stuck. Tell us what you had and where you went. That is so fun, Emily. Congratulations. Brenda Haskell. Today, she did the Monday Training Peak. She chose her own run plan, and she's super proud. 1 mile under 140, 4 sets of 4 minutes at 10K pace, 1 minute recovery, 1 mile cool down, also under 140. I haven't hit that kind of average pace in a long time, and I've never enjoyed running as much as she has with FPP. We love you, Brenda. Thank you for all of that. We appreciate it so much. Okay, those are all the weekly wins. Now we're on to the questions. We only got 2. And then we're on to see what life is like behind palace walls. Rebuild. Any advice for the Theragun or percussive massagers? Get one if you can afford it. And if you can't afford it, get the Theragun. I have played with lots of different versions of this that friends of mine have purchased. And the difference is not the number of times it hits per minute. It's the force behind each pound. So that's to say, you can have something. It's like if you've ever tried to buy bed sheets on Amazon, and it's like once upon a time it was the higher the thread count, the better. Well, then they started making really, really, really high thread count bed sheets. Are actually crap quality because they were trying to get the highest thread count that they possibly could. It's kind of like cheating, kind of like runners do, trying to like game the numbers and game the system. So what that same mindset behind creating bed sheets by catering to that one data point that consumers know of. The one that they try to cater to in the percussion massager world is the number of beats per minute from either 1,700 to 2,400 RPMs. Again, it's not about the number of times that it hits. I'm telling you this. It's about the force behind each pound. The Theragun is second to none. We own one. It is the best money we've ever spent. My husband, our 10-year anniversary is, like I said, on Thursday, and his birthday is the day before. And I'm like, man, I don't even know what to tell you. I don't know what to buy for you, because I knocked it out of the park at Christmas with the Theragun and the mobile and a little mobile speaker, a JBL speaker that we can listen to podcasts together when we fall asleep at night. And I'm like, I'm afraid to buy you anything because I feel like it's just not going to be as good. I'm going to disappoint you forever. So no more presents, husband. No, I'm getting something. If you have a suggestion, let me know. But yeah, the Theragun was probably the best money we've ever spent. It's fantastic. And it's just head and shoulders above any of the other cheaper versions that my friends around here have purchased that I've tried to play with. Like, it's just unreal to hear the motor and the sounds and feel the difference between mine and theirs. Granted, mine was pretty expensive, the Theragun Elite, but we had a coupon for it. Plus, my husband is military, so they get 20% discount. So that 20% discount plus the coupon made it the same price as all the other massagers. This person says, Hypervolt, love it. 10 minutes before the race, 10 minutes after the race, totally help warm up and aided cool down. I'm guessing that's Dan. Yeah, Hypervolt. That one I have not tried specifically, but there you go. So Dan is a fan of the Hypervolt. I'm a fan of the Theragun. Whatever you do, make sure that you check fakespot.com before you make a purchase. If you're buying a brand that you are seeing on Amazon, or you're buying something that you're not quite sure and you want to check the background of it, FakeSpot is the way to go. It's a meta aggregator of all consumer reviews from all major online purchasing sites, and you'll know if what you're buying is a dog. Because I mean, nothing wrong with a dog, but you need to know that you're actually purchasing one at the time. Otherwise, it's like, oh my God, I've got a dog. There we go. And the last question, and maintain, can you talk about the benefits of non-running exercise to running, both cardio like biking and skiing, or strength workouts that aren't running specific? Yeah. So what we're trying to do in general, what I'm trying to encourage people to do is to get your body really good at metabolizing oxygen. That's cardiovascular workouts. That word is bandied about to the point where it doesn't have a lot of meaning anymore. Specifically, what I mean when I say that word is that I want your body metabolizing as much oxygen as possible, which means doing things for longer periods, 30 to 60 minutes with a low heart rate. And walking fits that bill. Swimming can fit that bill. Skiing can fit that bill. I don't think if I was going downhill real fast, my heart rate would be under 100, 180. I would just like die of shock, but I don't like going downhill fast. So that's me. I'm just guessing you mean like snowshoeing or cross-country running, which is probably like treading water. But I'm a scaredy cat. So there's that. What I care about really is that we're spending more and more time active and working in those lower heart rate zones, which is what lowers your resting heart rate, lowers your blood pressure, increases your body's ability to metabolize oxygen, and increases your overall well-being and sense of health. When it comes to training for an event, there are two things that we have to think about. And one is the stress that what the race is going to be, the stress that it puts on your cardiovascular system. Because if you've ever gone for a run and then tried to climb stairs, the stairs are a different kind of hard. Your heart rate might get higher climbing a set of stairs than it would on a really long run. And there's a reason for that. It's a different type of cardiovascular stress on your body because you're changing your plane of motion. And instead of sort of bouncing forward, you're pulling your body up. So to that end, not all activity is exactly the same, but rather than worry about it, because we're not trying to max it out. If you want the hardest one possible, stairs are going to do it. But stairs can build strength, but they're also going to get your heart rate really, really, really high. So what we're trying to do is build strength in a really sustainable way, because you could go climb a whole bunch of stairs for half an hour and you're going to be wiped out. And then what good has that done you for the marathon that you signed up for on a dare that when you won the lottery and didn't actually mean to? So every workout can have a purpose, but what I'm trying to do with myself right now is just build up more endurance. Personally, that's why I'm spending more time on the bike, and it's fun. And I'm using muscles I haven't used in a long time. And if there's something like that that's available to you, I say do it. The only time I tell people to calm down is when they're trying to train for a race and they're really concerned about performance in their finish time. Then we've got to be double, triple sure they're not overdoing it. 1, 2, they're actively trying to lose weight, working with a nutritionist, because we can't multitask when it comes to our bodies. Either you are demanding metabolic change in the form of improved performance, or you're demanding metabolic change in the area of reducing your body's overall weight. You can't do both at the same time. You'll fail at both, and it could actually be really bad for your thyroid. So what all we're trying to do, what are we trying to get out with cardiovascular? It's to make you as healthy and make your heart as healthy as possible in ways that really last. So the benefits of those non-running exercises is that they can break up monotony, and or like for me having this bike in my house, it gives me a way to do something other than sit on a couch during a period when I've got 3 hours. I can't go anywhere because the baby's sleeping and the husband's not home. I feel like doing something, so I'm going to do something on the bike. There you go. So there are benefits to that. You're still getting the additional cardiovascular benefits. You're getting stronger. Are we improving performance? Not really, but I'm also not sitting still. And mentally, that can be really important for me sometimes. So it's really all about what you need to get. But there are plenty of benefits to doing other things if those things are available to you and readily accessible. If you have a pool in your backyard, use it. Unless you're in Minnesota, in which case you probably don't want to use it right now. But there's no reason to deprive yourself extra cardiovascular activity or extra outside stuff unless you are on a really highly rigid plan, as you would be if you were specifically trying to lose weight or specifically trying to perform. Outside of that, God, go have fun, but just do it for a long time and keep your heart rate really low. Ride all the bikes, rollerblade. My kids have taken up roller skating, and I just kind of freak out behind them. Ride your skateboard. There are no end to things that you can do outdoors that are fun. And in a time right now when so much that used to be fun for us has been taken away, get your kicks wherever you can. Stairs have their ups and downs. Then that's exactly what I'm saying. Yes, sir. Hilarious. That's amazing. You know what? You can never have enough dad jokes. You really can't. I'm proud of you. That's so awesome. Great. Bet you're a great dad. Anyway, so that's it. Speaking of great dads, I'm going to go watch somebody complain about his Prince Harry, possibly. We don't know what they're going to say, but I can't wait for them to say it. You are coached. You are loved, even if those royals didn't feel it. And you are absolutely, without a doubt, winning at life, especially if you have a percussion massager or a Peloton in your home that you can get on and ride. Yeah. See you guys next week.